The open court session on the criminal cases against citizens of the Republic of Armenia, accused of crimes against peace and humanity, war crimes, including the preparation and conduct of aggressive war, genocide, violation of the laws and customs of war, terrorism, financing of terrorism, forcible seizure of power, forcible retention of power, and numerous other crimes arising from Armenia's military aggression against Azerbaijan, Arayik Harutyunyan, Arkadi Ghukasyan, Bako Sahakyan, Davit Ishkhanyan, David Babayan, Levon Mnatsakanyan, and others, continued on October 24. The session, held at the Baku Military Court under the chairmanship of Judge Zainal Agayev, with a panel consisting of Jamal Ramazanov and Anar Razayev, Reserve Judge Gunel Samadova, ensured that each accused person was provided with an interpreter in their native language, as well as lawyers for their defense. The session was attended by the accused individuals, their defenders, a portion of the victims, their legal heirs and representatives, as well as prosecutors representing the state prosecution. During the hearing, statements from victims who were unable to attend for valid reasons and had applied to the court accordingly were announced. Presiding Judge Zainal Agayev stated that several victims had petitioned the court, requesting that their initial interrogation statements be examined during the court proceedings in their absence. There were no objections to the review of these statements. Thereafter, accused Davit Ishkhanyan addressed the court, requesting a confidential meeting with his lawyer. He stated his intention to submit a video as evidence, recorded after the 2020 Tovuz events, and asked for an opportunity to view it with his lawyer before presenting it. The judge announced a recess to enable this. Accused David Manukyan, in turn, petitioned to summon an Azerbaijani named Kanyaz, born and raised in Armenia, who lived and worked at a scrap metal base in Sayat Nova village of the Masis district, former Ashagi Nahili village of the Zengabazar district, Ed, and was later deported from there. He said he could not recall the person's surname or other identifying information. Regarding this petition, Senior Assistant to the Prosecutor General Vusal Aliyev noted that the defense had not provided justification for summoning the person, nor sufficient details to identify or locate them. Given the absence of this information, the petition could not be insured or executed. After deliberation, the court deemed the petition groundless and rejected it. The statements of victims who were unable to attend, as well as those of their legal heirs, were then read out in court. According to the statement of victim Valyev Fikrat Javad Oglu, on the night of February 25, 1992, while Armenian armed forces were setting houses on fire in Khojaly town, he went to his home. Seeing no one there, he fled toward the Kadak forest. Under the bridge over the Gargarki River, he saw a large number of Khojaly town residents, including his wife Valyeva Uraz Khanlar Gizi, his sister Sharaya Valyeva, and his nephew Akhmedov Anar Islam Oglu. He, along with family members and approximately 300 Khojaly residents, moved toward the Kadak forest. As they approached Kadak village, they came under fire from the Armenian army, resulting in the killing and wounding of several Khojaly residents whose names he did not know. Because they spent the entire night in the forest, most Khojaly town residents suffered frostbite on their feet, and some individuals whose names he did not know died from frostbite. That night, his sister and other relatives went missing under unknown circumstances, and there is no information about whether they survived. Due to foggy weather conditions, he could not find the road leading toward Ogdam district. On February 27, while passing near Daraz village with 230 Khojaly town residents, they came under fire from Armenian armed forces. Bagarava Zara Sari Gizi, Telman, Mady, and 4 others whose names he could not recall died there, while 3 were wounded. He and the others were taken captive and held in a stable in that village, where they were subjected to torture. At that time, an Armenian soldier kicked a child among the captives, causing the child's head to hit the wall. Although he picked up the child from the ground and held him in his arms to protect him, the same soldier said in Azerbaijani, "We will kill all of you." Their money and gold jewelry were looted, and they were kept hungry and thirsty in the cold barn. In addition, Armenian armed forces selected young people from among the captives, Yuzabali Gorayev, Zakir, Orlayer, and Elshad Yuzabov, Ravshan Hasanov, Vugar Husanov, Ulfat Aliyev, Tofik Zinelov, Elshad Hassan Ogalu, Aladdin Pashayev, Siavush Halai Ogalu, Rovshan Gaki Ogalu, and Shaheen, residents of Khojaly, and took them outside. Gunshots were then heard, followed by the sound of a car. To this day, those individuals are considered missing. Based on the announced statements, victim individuals Hambataliev Rufat Bakhtiar Ogalu, Havadov Nadig Shaheen Ogalu, Bakshaliev Nizami Fizuli Ogalu, and Nabiev Nader Igor Ogalu stated in their testimonies that on September 13, 2022, in the territory of Kalbajar district, they were subjected to enemy sabotage. It was noted that at that time, Humbatliev, Havadov, and Baksaliev, were wounded as a result of enemy fire, while Nabiev was injured due to the explosion of a mine planted by the enemy. Elnur Rustamov, Gadir Khalilov, and Umid Imangliev were killed. The legal heir of victim Mustafiev Siyaset Akif Ogulu, recognized as a witness, Mustafiev Akif Mahmud Ogulu, stated in his testimony that his son was killed on September 27, 2020, as a result of fire opened by Armenian armed forces in the direction of Talish village of Agdam district. Another victim, Habibov Rahim Shurmamad Ogulu, stated in his testimony that he worked as the head of the Engineering Geodesy Department of the Engineering Search Department of the Azerbaijan Scientific Research and Design Search Energy Institute Limited Liability Company, and while conducting a site inspection on December 7, 2023, for the purpose of planning the construction of the Shusha Konkendi 110 kV high-voltage overhead power transmission line related to his work, a mine exploded, and he was injured. Abbasov Alman Anvar Ogulu stated in his testimony that he lives in Garaba village of Fuzuli district. On October 9, 2020, one of the artillery shells fired by Armenian armed forces fell near his home. As a result, his house and the car he used became unusable, and at that time, he, as well as Rafiev Elchin Mahmud Ogolu, Shurinov Elshan Shamar Ogolu, Aslanov Yashar Savalan Ogolu, and Amadov Tahir Telman Ogolu, sustained various degrees of bodily injuries. Asanzadeh Jasirat Gulaga Ogulu stated in his testimony that on September 19, 2023, in the territory of Agdara district, the explosion of an anti-tank guided missile fired by remnants of the Armenian army and illegal Armenian armed groups near him caused him and those with him, Akif Korogluev, Hussein Babayev, and Amin Alaskarov, to be injured, while Fuzali Mammadov was killed. Balakishiev Atibar Tavagul Ogelu stated in his testimony that on October 3, 2020, 3 rockets were fired at the city of Bailasuvar. He was injured as a result of one of the rockets falling on the roadside. Victim Ibrahimov Nader Ali Ogolu stated in his testimony that on October 4, 2020, his house was destroyed due to the impact of a rocket strike by Armenian armed forces on Aziz Aliyev Street in the city of Ganja. At that time, along with him, his 1-year-old grandson Emil Ibrahimov and his wife Suhaila Ibrahimova were pulled out from under the rubble with the help of surrounding people. All 3 were injured as a result of the incident. There was no military facility in the area where they lived. Another victim, Hasanova Lala Akif Gizi, stated in her testimony that on October 4, 2020, due to the impact of rocket strikes by Armenian armed forces on her home on Nariman Narimanov Avenue in Ganja city where she lived, she and her daughter Nigar were injured, and her son Ilyas's left arm and fingers were broken. Due to the impact of the strike, their house collapsed and became unusable. The legal heir of victim Timurov Farid Fuzuli Oglu, Timurov Fuzuli Idar Oglu, stated in his testimony that his son Farid went missing on October 7, 2020, in the territory of Shugavushan village, and his remains were found only on January 2, 2021. The legal heir of victim Karimov Elmir Rahim Ogulu, Karimov Rahim Hakim Ogulu, stated in his testimony that his son was killed on October 1, 2020, as a result of the explosion of a cluster munition fired by Armenian armed forces in the Talish Shugavushan direction. The legal heirs of victims Guliev Elchin Rovshan Ogulu, Guliev Rovshan Balay Ogulu, Jafarov Oruj Vajaif Ogulu, Jafarov Vajaif Mahmud Ogulu, Nagiev Balolan Mudahat Ogulu, Nagiev Balolan Mudahat Balolan Ogulu, and Jafarov Tabriz Ilgar Ogulu, Jafarov Ilgar Garib Ogulu, stated in their testimonies that their sons were killed on September 29, 2020, Elchin, October 1, 2020, Oruj, October 5, 2020, Baloglan, and October 30, 2020, Tabriz, respectively, as a result of fire opened by Armenian armed forces in the direction of Shugavushan village. The court session continued with the reading of other statements. The hearings will resume on October 27.